It's the storm that January was named for. Okay, the Roman god that January was named for, Janus, and it's already hitting the eastern seaboard and will continue to be an impact through Tuesday night and on into Wednesday. So let's start with how this is forming, because this is a system that started as a fairly minor disturbance over the Midwest with a lot of wind and not a lot of snow, but it's turning into a major coastal storm. As the low is reaching the eastern seaboard on Tuesday, it starts to really intensify thanks to some energy in the upper atmosphere. It's going to be drawing in some moist air off the Atlantic Ocean into the very cold air on the other side of the jet stream, and voila, lots of snow. Tuesday across the central Appalachians, spreading rapidly into the megalopolis. Tuesday night, we'll continue to see the snow come down from northern North Carolina all the way up the I-95 corridor into New England, including Maine. And this is going to add up to some significant snowfall totals. So this is a pretty good idea of what we expect for the whole storm from Tuesday morning on through Wednesday. Could be an 8 to 12-inch snowfall for a number of places from the mountains of West Virginia through Philly and New York and on up into the Boston area. In fact, south of Boston, a few blizzard warnings posted for this. Very cold after the storm, too. Look at Washington, D.C. The day after the storm, 18 degrees for a high. So you know those snow piles aren't going anywhere anytime soon until we get maybe a minor warm-up this weekend. New York City, same story. Very cold temperatures behind Winter Storm Janus with teens and lower 20s for highs through the rest of the work week. Stay with us on weather.com and also live coverage all day on the Weather Channel on TV. I'm Nick Wilchin, the Weather Channel.
Alrighty then. This is where your tax dollars go.
You guys better start paying very close attention to what these three-letter alphabet gangs are doing behind your backs. The EPA is once again trying to stir up fears of radically relaxing the radiation guidelines. Now, they've done this before. It's gone back and forth, up and down. They have raised them from where they were years ago. Now, they're trying to do it again. This is their way to fortify this illusion around you that everything is okay. Yesterday's alert level is now today's norm, today's okay level. And this is what you need to know and realize. I'm going to give you the numbers here, and you can determine for yourself. I'm also going to leave a link to this PDF that you can download. It's got a lot of good information on where you're safe inside of buildings, what levels, locations during a radiation fallout event.
He shows it.
Okay, so you might want to check that out if you have any concerns there, but this is what's appalling. The fact that they're already setting the highs at for a safe level of 2,000 milligrams, which is ridiculous. And this would in fact increase, and now check this out, this is the point. This is where you can see that they do not care about you, your life, anyone's. They are increasing this to where it used to be 1 in 10,000 people over a 30-year period had the odds of getting cancer. Now, it is a ridiculous 1 in 23. It's downright absurd that you would take numbers like this and reduce them to these numbers. People need to see this. You need to share this information for those people that care. Okay, this is what they are doing with this illusion, and while people are not paying attention.
Do you realize, do you know 23 people? So now it's okay for one of you to get cancer. Because that's okay. That's your Environmental Protection Agency. Sounds a little incompetent, doesn't it? What is going on? Did you have 23 people at your wedding? Or did you go to like how about a football game? So if 1 in 23 people, that's okay to get cancer. I don't think so. Sounds like someone has become some fluoride head incompetent covering up that Fukushima radiation. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not sure what's really going on. Agenda 21.
This is why I try to do the news that I do. So stuff like this doesn't always slip between the cracks. But for those of you on the West Coast, yeah, this affects you big time. Over a 30-year period, they're now saying that The guidelines are going to be manipulated from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 23 when you break it down. And you have to go through and break it down. Do the research, do some reading. This is a good piece, especially another piece here for considering potassium iodide consumption in situations when you want to take it, things like that. I'll leave links as always, but till next time, guys, eyes open on these fools. It's been Dabu7. Peace.
Do you realize if it's 1 in 23, do you think you people at the drug and pharmaceutical companies, you got more than 23 people working there? Which one of you is okay to get the cancer? How about you physicians treating these people who are radioactive now? But isn't there more than 23 3 doctors? Uh-oh, what's going on here? The whole thing shifted. Gotta start over. Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diane, and today is January 21st, 2013. Here are your news updates for today. The Watchers watching the world. Melatonin may lower prostate cancer risk. There you go, melatonin. Explosive eruption and intense gassing at Shivulakh volcano, Kamchatka. Also, renewable tidal energy could power about half of Scotland's studies show. Alrighty then. Moving on. Let's go to the Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. Well, alrighty. There it goes. They might have been having some problems there for a minute. Cat, what are you doing? Get down from there. There comes the cat. What recovery? U.S. retail stores now in grim death spiral. Wow. Mega default of financial trust in China scheduled for January 31st. Oh, heads up. Hackers use household refrigerator to launch cyber attack. Wonder where they got that information from. Vietnam reports first H5N1 bird flu death in 2014. China confirms medical worker dies from H7N9 virus. Causes spike in China. Alrighty. Moving on. Okay. U.S. Canada. E&E News. Energy News. U.S. Canada. Nuclear expert. This is just first radioactive wave hitting U.S. and Canada. Fukushima pouring into ocean, unstoppable for years and years. Marine expert. No sign it will stop anytime soon. Plant unstable. Potentially worse than Chernobyl. Also today. Professor. Reports of radiation in kelp just north of California. Signs of Fukushima contamination expected to start really arriving strongly this year. So heads up. If you're on the West Coast, get out of there. That's my opinion. Alright. Moving on. E&E News. Energy News. Japan, Fukushima. Marine chemists. Today. Latest numbers I have are Fukushima released 80 quadrillion becquerels of cesium-137. Chernobyl estimated at 70 quadrillion. The radioactive plume itself has actually arrived. It's already here, in quotes. It's already here on West Coast. Also today, Scientific American. Fukushima will have to be entombed in sarcophagus if melted fuel in bad enough situation. Radiation expert. I think they're going to put a fence around reactors and just watch site forever. I'm sorry. I think they're going to put a fence around reactors and just watch site forever. Also today, TV. High-level radiation leak of Fukushima reactor thought to be from cracks in containment vessel. Even more radioactive than expected. Salt corrosion may have led to breach. So they're saying salt corrosion. Okay. Alrighty then. Please be safe. Be ready for anything. Please make sure if you're in the Northeast that if you know someone that's alone, make sure they are warm and they might and they're okay. Check on the elderly. Excuse me. It's still cold here. Not like up north of me, but it's cold for us too. We're not used to this. It's supposed to get down to 38 degrees in the Space Coast, Central Florida. So make sure your pets are in, cover your plants, and be ready for anything. Alrighty then. Ooh, there's Max. Is he ready? There's Max. He's ready. He's in the blankie. Him and Tippy. Oh, there's Tippy too. They're all in the blankies. Right? Are you nice and warm? Oh no, you don't have to get down. Alrighty then. Take care. And then the cat lays next. They all sleep together. And I sleep next to them and stay warm. Alrighty then. Take care. Be prepared for anything. Check on people, pets. And make sure they're inside. Alright. And no barbecues inside, please. The carbon monoxide will kill you. No barbecues inside. Make a tent if you have to, if you're up north. And get in a sleeping bag. Use your house as a cave if you have to. Like if you're camping out in a cave and then set up a tent inside your house and stay warm. Sounds weird, but that works also. If you have to insulate yourself inside. Alright. Take care, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on the flip side. Please be safe and try to stay warm. Alrighty then. And check on your neighbors. Check on everybody. Make sure everybody's okay. Alrighty then.
Here's the kinds of symptoms people are probably having right now as we're speaking. And they may not even attribute it, because if you have other predispositions in your biology, your mental health, your physical predispositions to things like irritable bowel syndrome, confusion, insomnia, allergic, colitis, all kinds of symptoms, they're going to be aggravated by these strontium and cesium and other isotopes. So you're going to get people head to toe, hey, I'm losing my hair. Oh, hey, I bumped my elbow, but it's not healing. Hey, my sinus infections come back. Hey, I don't know why I'm so darn dizzy, and I can't get my thoughts straight, and I don't remember where my list is for the food I have to go to the grocery store. Or, hey, why can't my teeth are all aching, my bones ache at night, or I've got an area of the whole side of my body that's sore.
I can't even get out of bed, I'm so tired. What's wrong?
Yeah,
man?
why am I so tired? It's almost like somebody went and took a big syringe and sucked all the life force out of me. Why is my bowel all blown up and I'm having, mucousy stools or even maybe some blood? Why does my nose bleed just by scratching it or if they pick their nose? Why am I noticing that I just don't have the mental energy to even think of another thing I need to put on my table of list of things I got to do? And people only attribute this, to radiation sickness. Why do I have atrial fibrillation? Why do I have, for example, rapid onset of arterial plaque and now cardiac arrest? See, people don't realize that. I keep on hearing the C word, cancer, cancer, cancer. You're not going to live long enough to get cancer. If this blows more, or just bioaccumulates, let's say it just stays at the current level of release of radiation, without the fall of cooling pools, without power fork fire, without a critical reaction that causes a small explosion, which is literally a nuclear explosion, but small, that spreads debris everywhere. This is going to bioaccumulate. So in the next few years, you're going to see acute, obvious radiation sickness in America and Canadians and people in Europe. They've already done samples of jam in Eastern Europe, and it's all laced with cesium-137 and strontium-9.
Ran that story. Where was the source of the fruit on that? Did they trace it all back to Asia, or was some of it over here?
That fruit in Eastern Europe was all Eastern European.
Wow. Okay, now that ties in with the only practical, honest warning I got. Maybe you saw it somewhere else, or another warning. After 3/11 of 11,
right.
Europeans warned Europeans, pregnant women and young children, do not eat green leafy vegetables. Stop.
Right.
They knew it was coming all the way across the U.S., across the Atlantic, and it was going to deposit itself as rain on the crops.
The other thing, and there's a couple other anomalies I got to say, that these different scientists and experts, like what Helen Caldicott says it doesn't cross the equator, etc. You can go transpolar over the pole. You can also cross the high altitude. But people have to understand these isotopes are doing all kinds of funky things that can change not only the weather but trigger off earthquakes and volcanoes, because it's plasma physics that determines geotectonic and weather effects, because it's the upper atmosphere that's ionized. So when you put these highly ionized molecules in the upper atmosphere, they start changing things. They change the ionic status of the upper atmosphere. They literally change the plasma physics of weather and geotectonics of earthquakes and volcanoes. So the release of this radiation actually increases the chance there's going to be more earthquakes, which is now what we're observing. There's a 500% increase since 3/11 of 5+ earthquakes in the area of Japan. So it's not just one event where some bomb was set up by the Russians or whoever, or China. It is a whole zillions of these little earthquakes and bigger earthquakes. I think they had a 6 just a week ago.
Japan is the earthquake capital of the known universe.
Right. So
keep that in mind.
what I'm saying, this is one of the factors, along with the fact that the gravity waves that come off the sun when it's in the solar minimum, also tied into coronal mass ejections and major solar storms. Those gravity waves can trigger off earthquake release of energy as well. So there's all kinds of factors, but they're all converging sort of now or in the near future. So
well, what bothers me, Bill, is the disinformation that most of the sheep are going to take. You know why? It's safer. They don't want to have to deal with this. I can't blame them. But the Department of Health in the state of California, they're already conning and lying.
Well, I think it's kind of good in a way, though, they're starting early, because, see, what they're doing is they're doing the exact opposite of what you do if you actually want to suppress the truth. Because by saying a lie really early, and people starting to focus on symptoms they have...
Oh, they're smart. They know what they're doing.
Well, no, this is really stupid. It's the exact opposite. I'll explain why. Because people in the back of their mind say, nah, that's all BS. But there's a part of their brain that still has this little thing, a meme going around their head, like a theme of music in a movie, saying, yeah, itchy eyes, mouth ulcers, bloated tummy, and they might have symptom one day or 1 week, whatever, and all of a sudden they start having more and more of these symptoms, and they start saying, I got Fukushima. Dear, do you think you might have Fukushima? Might explain what's going on with you? And they say, yeah, and then all of a sudden they start talking to their friends, and they say, I think we all might have, might be not the only factor, because it isn't. It has a pre-existing person that already has, imbalances of diseases and pre-disease states and dysbiosis and everything else and psychological and
well, what it'll
mineral.
do, if you've got pre-existing, it will tend to exacerbate many of those.
Right. So if you're pre-diabetic, you're going to be fully diabetic. If you're in mild congestive heart failure, it's going to make you get iron sarca and die of heart failure. If you've got insomnia and agitation and anxiety attacks, it's going to make them a heck of a lot worse. If you've got a problem with chronic eczematous rashes, you're going to have fancy breakups.
You sound like a good market for SSRIs.
IBS, it's going to make your IBS go nuts.
Yeah.
So
stop dairy and it'll help.
You see, all these things are going to help. But the thing is, even as you clean yourself up, you're going to realize no matter how clean you are, the slightest little variation, and if you have a radiation detector, you're going to start noticing, hey, I had the wrong food the other day. I said, I had Pacific fish. And you realize for the next 4 or 5 days, you feel like, someone just clobbered them. They got beaten up in the alley. Or they'll feel really tense. Or their bowel will be in an uproar. And they don't understand this, that these symptoms are here right now. I mean, with 3 years in, this is not like, a few weeks ago. And I think what's going to happen is the news media are going to cut themselves off from people believing them. And one of the first things that happened with the young people in Obama, which is why he's not campaigning with any Democrats now, it's the same with the news media. And when they do surveys, they find nobody, including the young people, believe the news statement, the big box news media. They know that if they come out firmly for a specific statement, especially really early in the story, they know it's a lie. And they realize, it's like a statement that I've said for years, don't believe a government or corporate conspiracy unless you see a strong denial of the evident facts.
I follow you, and I agree. There's a lot to be said for that.
And then eventually people, they'll get it. It's almost like they don't mind people dying in Benghazi. Yeah. They hate people taking their money.
Well,
but also people hate making them hurt. Like if they wake up at night and ache all night, or they've got bad insomnia, or their aerial bowel is so bad that they can hardly go to the bathroom, go to a stadium, or go to work. People are going to start getting very ticked off when they start connecting the dots, especially if they live along the coast of California, Oregon, and Washington, they realize, how come there's no more sea lions and there's no sardines? And
Hey, how about zero sardines? I mean, we're talking about
right.
a fish that had billions of members of a species, and they're gone.
Oh, hundreds of billions, probably.
They're gone.
That's really bizarre. And of
Not
course,
one. Not
now you
one.
remember now, and this is what's particularly bad about the sardines. People have to look at what's called the food chain and the ratio of bioconcentration. The sardine is going to bioconcentrate ambient levels of strontium and cesium, say 1,000 times. And a sea lion is going to bioconcentrate 100,000 times.
Well, you got many fish up the chain between sardine and sea lion, too.
Right. And then when you get into things like these, we call the Lamborghini of sea life, bluefin tuna, they're like, 10 million times super concentrating heavy metals and radioisotopes. So they can zip right across the Pacific in, a matter of days. So the bioconcentration cycle, what it's going to do is you're going to see a whole lot of chunks of the sea life not only gone there, but you're going to start seeing, as you see right now, a lot of it shoved up against the coast.
Yeah, of course, up against the coast.
And I don't think that they can suppress the story enough. Like when
no, they've had a 3-year head start. That's my basic point. They've gotten away with this for 3 years. We've been subjected to radiation for 3 years in an atmospheric sense. It's been brought over here by the jet stream and storm after storm for 3 years. All right. And the Japanese continue to burn hundreds of millions of tons. God knows how much they burn now in their incinerators. Every urban area has an incineration system to burn up their trash. That's what they do to the municipal trash, burn it up. So they're all burning up as radioactive junk. Now,
which is an international crime.
It should be. I said it in the beginning. It should have gone to the ICC immediately, but nobody said a damn thing about it. And the U.S. government knew. Where does the dust from China, big dust storm, where does it go? Comes right over the U.S., right across the ocean. Now,
and by the way, the Chinese are getting blasted from Japan, too. Don't think it all just goes eastward. The cyclonic currents carry it, so 22 provinces in China within 3 to 6 weeks
22.
All registered high levels of radiation.
Now, Fukushima cesium has now been confirmed in Alaska salmon. Guess who paid for the tests? The fishermen. Praise them. The government wouldn't touch it. So the fishermen paid for tests, confirmed that there is cesium in Alaska salmon, 80% of which did not come home to spawn this year.
Right. Well, that also means the fishermen are honest enough, simple worker guys.
Well,
they know
some of them are.
This could kill their fishery, but it also, they don't want to have the blood on their hands.
I wouldn't either. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, let's get back to our conversation real quick here with Dr. Bill. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the power is deadly that is going to be brought to bear on people who otherwise would tell the truth about the situation. Now, neither Bill nor myself knows exactly when, how, why, or the concentration of radioactivity that's going to hit the coast in your area. We do know it will hit. When? It's due any day, according to many experts. Others say 2 to 3 months from now. It's coming. We know that. It's not a plume. It's not like a finger. It's the entire mass of the North Pacific. Dilution did not occur as it was predicted. Yes, some of this stuff tends to run together in a herd or however you want to agglutinate it in your mind, but it does cover the entire ocean. Now, that entire portion of the ocean has slowly been contaminated, and it is moving to the east. It's coming our way, and it's almost here. When it hits here, it's going to stay, according to conservative estimates, against the coast, remember, increasing 24/7, 365 for at least 10 years, probably more like 100. So it's going to keep pushing up against the coast and compounding, and the concentrations will grow, and every wave that washes up on the beach will potentially, capital P, bring with it a raft of radionuclides which will sit on the sand and lay there, and they're not going to dissipate because we know about half-lives, all right? So this is just step one. We don't know exactly when. We do know it's coming. Now, I want you to listen to this. This is something that was on I don't know what, it's on YouTube, and it's a San Francisco area alternative. It's not the kind of news that we do in an alternative sense, but I want you to listen to the arrogant dismissal and condescension of the idea of Fukushima being a problem with this guy. I just came across this today. I won't play too much of it, but you're going to hear a lot of this. It's called denial and lying about the potential that we all face.
Howdy friends, Trace here reporting for D-News. The Fukushima nuclear plant has been slowly deteriorating since it was struck by a large earthquake in March of 2011. Now, almost 3 years since the meltdown, the mob is still out there trying to make others believe there is deadly Japanese radiation hitting the west coast of the U.S. and killing animals. Last month, an anonymous...
Be a problem. And then when a study's put forward, you talk about the results of the study before the first sample of kelp comes in. This is a crime against humanity. It's really evil. We have to point it out. We have to realize.
A lot of people may die because of this. That's called genocide, at least mass manslaughter.
And they may not even attribute their symptoms or a major contributing factor to many illnesses that people don't realize.
Right.
For example, the rate of miscarriages of women in the northern hemisphere has probably gone up dramatically. The rate of premature death from Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, after this is reported from Japan that the rate of strokes in the areas of the immediate prefectures, Oi and Fukushima, went up 3,500% from the radioisotopes that were released.
Wow.
So what we have to realize is the most likely thing that's going to happen is oxidative stress, which causes vascular disease, dementia, heart failure, hypertension, renal failure, all kinds of good stuff. So in other words, any weakness you have, it's going to accelerate you to the end point of that disease. Any disease. Mental illness, whatever. It's going to make it worse.
Are you serious? What do you... I want you to stop for a minute. Look in the center of the picture. What do you see? Way in the distance on a hill, far away, stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. No, just take a look right there. What you're looking at is a wooden cross that's been there on the top of Azuza mountain.
Azuza. He keeps saying Azuzu. It's Azuza.
In California since 2007. And what you see all around it is the charred remains of a massive wildfire that burnt everything in its path, consuming trees and woods, destroying everything, including homes. But there's one thing it couldn't touch. What? It couldn't touch the cross. There was there was nothing burnt on the cross. The cross is wooden. It's been there since 2007. You know how dry that cross would be? Wow. Let me just read you the story. I want to thank Mike Dell for sending this to me. The iconic cross still standing after the engulfed by the wildfire all around it. The wildfire in Southern California near Azusa Pacific University has claimed at least 1,700 acres, destroyed at least 6 homes. Now, you do know 6 is the number of man. I'm just saying. But amid the flames, in the midst of the flames, one iconic structure is still standing. A 10 to 12-foot cross on top of the mountain peak in Azusa Mountains is visible for miles. The cross was originally erected in the year 2007, and many local residents often hike up to the lookout spot where it stands, overlooking San Gabriel Valley. What? Now, wait a minute. Azusa, I need to tell you something.
Azusa.
In 1906, one of the greatest powerful Holy Ghost revivals in history broke out in a little mission, a little church on Azusa Street in Los Angeles, California. It was one of the greatest outpourings of the Holy Ghost in history. It's just incredible, amazing revival. So this is Azusa Mountain. They put a cross on the top of the mountain, overlooking San Gabriel Valley. That's right, Gabriel, the archangel. That's what the valley's named after. Are you serious? Now, wait a minute. This week, the flames ripped through the area, and the cross appeared to be lost, according to earlier local reports. but the wood structure, which has become a fixture on Azuza Peak, survived unscathed. Everything in the mountain is burnt and gone, including the A for Azusa. After houses were burnt down, hundreds of people evacuated, the city covered in smoke, there was one thing left, not only standing, but untouched. God is good, God is powerful, and God is worthy of all praise, said one local person posted on their Facebook page. This photo was taken by a freelance photographer, Rylan Talmo. It was taken at 1 p.m. this past Thursday, the 16th. I need to tell you why that's important. Hang on, all those of you who don't understand that something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ. This picture was taken on Thursday, January 16th, 2014. That is the same day that the iconic statue of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, was struck by lightning from the sky. And God is worthy of all praise, said one local person posted on their Facebook page. This photo was taken by a freelance photographer, Rylan Talmo. It was taken at 1 p.m. this past Thursday, the 16th. I need to tell you why that's important. Hang on, all those of you who don't understand that something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ. This picture was taken on Thursday, January 16th, 2014. That is the same day that the iconic statue of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, was struck by lightning from the sky. Is there something going on here? Now hang on a second. It's almost shining through the smoke because the sun reflects off the white paint, thus increasing its visibility, even with all the smoke and ash in the air, said Rylan Talmo. For students at APU, it is common for groups to hike up the Garcia Trail to the top of the mountain and sit at the foot of the cross. It reminds us that though we are part of a specific university, we are also part of a larger community, not only limited to Azusa, but the rest of the world as well, he said. It is a symbol and a reminder that God watches over his children in every circumstance all the time. You know what the Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 1? He said in verse 18, "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. For the Jews required a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them that are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than man, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things that are mighty.